going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast Tiernan. Bradley joins me down in Brighton. Mate, thanks for giving me some of your time. Just fresh off some training. How's things?
Yeah, tired. We're up early this morning. Did some training this morning, and then had to do some pads and some bags afterwards. So my hands are sore, pretty sore, because we were doing some big banging on the bags. I'm sure Ben's hands are sore as well. He was showing me they're all red, but yeah, feeling good, ready to go.
Yeah, freezing. Have you done any road work today? I see Tommy was running on his story earlier. Have you done any of that today?
Yeah, so we were in the gym this morning because we weren't sure of how icy it was. We didn't want to slip out, but I'm not sure if I didn't see Tommy this morning, so I'm pretty sure he was out by himself. But the last few weeks have been out in the cold, and it's been absolutely freezing. We're up in Devil's Dyke last week, and I was nearly sick at the top of the hill. But I think it was because it was such like dry air that my lungs just couldn't get a breath in. And I was like, but that's what you get when you're at the start of camp. You know what I mean? You're gonna be sick. You're gonna have to be pushed through it. And luckily, I've got Ben there to push me through it.
Yeah, mate, I was going to say, seeing some of the boys out on the road on Tommy's story and that, I don't envy being a boxer. I'll stick behind the camera and I'll watch everyone else do the hard work. Yeah, it's your IFL TV debut. You're 6-0 professional, but I know you've got some interesting stuff to talk about going back. Kind of a little bit of a get to know today, so people can, get to know about your story and then follow on from here. So I think the best place to start is perhaps with your first ever boxing memory, be it a fight you watched, someone in your family was boxing, I don't know. What is your first boxing memory?
So my first boxing memory was probably when my father came in and asked my older brother, did he want to go to a boxing club? Now I went everywhere that my brother went. Whatever he wanted to join, I wanted to join. You know, as little brother, big brother dramas go, I wanted to go everywhere he went. So when he ended up going for a few weeks, I was asking where he was. I was only 7 years of age at the time. My brother was around 9 or 10. And then I think my dad just got fed up and just brought me one day, and that was that. I joined a boxing club in the back arse of nowhere called Greencastle Boxing Club, and it was at the top of a hill with clouds rolling over the top of the hill. You know, we were sent out at 7 years of age to go run laps around back roads, pitch dark, with grown men who we didn't know. That's how tough it was. There was no child protection or nothing back then. But no, I enjoyed it for a while, and then I was a very sensitive kid. And then when we got in sparring, I was doing well, but when I was doing well, I was getting put in against older guys and heavier guys, and then I started getting punched around, and I didn't like it at all. You know, I remember one day I just said to my dad, I think I was around maybe 8, I would just turned 8 maybe. I said to him, I just looked across the table and I burst out crying. He says, I don't want to box no more. It's not for me. It's not for me. But I left that boxing club anyway and went back to my normal childhood. And then I remember that boxing club I closed down. We moved to a different boxing club where my parents were a lot more hands-on in the club. And I joined back again, and I absolutely loved it because there was kids my age. You had to spar kids your age and weight. There was a lot more child protection. You know, it was almost like a youth centre. And then when my dad became head coach, that really kind of spearheaded my success in the sport because I really loved it. You know, my family was really evolved around boxing. And then I had my first fight when I was boy 1. I was 11, and I went 22 fights unbeaten in my first year. Won my first Irish title my first year. So that's how it really got started. You know.
Obviously, quite a lot goes on in that time. You spoke about the change of gyms and the fact your dad was involved. There'll be loads of different factors kind of contribute to this, but can you kind of pinpoint perhaps one time where you thought this is a little bit more than a hobby and perhaps a potential career path? You enjoyed it, of course, but perhaps a time where you thought, yeah, this is something I could perhaps make for myself here.
So I think I was thinking like that at a very young age because my dad seen the profit in it from a very young age because it was so good and it was so advanced at such a young age. I remember.
Did he push you towards that? I mean, obviously, like you was enjoying it, so you wanted to. But was your dad from very early then saying, "You can do this. This is really here for you."
Yeah, absolutely. I had sports psychologists at 12 years of age. You know what I mean? Like that's how quick that I was pushed in the limelight.
See, I would think for a mind that at that time is obviously relatively undeveloped, a sports psychologist, like I can't imagine what sort of stuff you was even being told.
But I think it's because, it's probably the reason why I became such a good amateur at a very young age. Because I was pushed at that level, and you see it more and more to this day. Maybe more here in England, where you've got more access to things like that, and better facilities. We see 12, 13, 14-year-olds going and getting their VO2 max done, and all these mad experiments to push them that a little bit further. It's fantastic. Is it necessary? Maybe not. Maybe you should just enjoy the sport more for what the sport is. I think that's what I probably would have liked when I was that age, because I grew to hate it then towards the end of my teenage years because I'd given everything, and I felt like there was nothing else to learn until I turned pro, and I felt like I learned nothing in the sport. But no, like even that sports psychology side of things really opened my eyes up and made me aware of what I really wanted in the sport. Maybe visualize things, and it made me realize what I wanted in my career.
Yeah. Obviously, so many top amateurs have come out of Ireland over the years. In your eyes, what did it take, or what sort of traits did you have that made you such a good amateur? Because obviously everyone's got a kind of different traits and everyone works in different ways, I suppose. But what made you such a good amateur, away from just the fact that, of course, you knew how to box? What was it that made you such a good and elite amateur?
I couldn't really pinpoint one thing. I mean, I've always been known for my unorthodox style on the back foot. It's weird because I'm totally different. I'm a totally different fighter now as a professional. I can push going forward. I can box on the back foot. It's weird. I only boxed one way as an amateur, and that was on the back foot as a counter puncher. It's funny because I was a big banger as well. I'd probably in my 130 fights as an amateur, I probably stopped about 26 of them. And that's not a bad percentage rate at an amateur level. Especially when I had a lot of my fights at a very young age. I've broken ribs in sparring at 14, 15 years of age, knocking out guys at 16 years of age. Things like that. I think probably just my unorthodox style was probably one of the things that really got people frustrated in the ring, and I made advantage of that. Yeah.
I know you said you kind of grew to dislike parts of the game because of perhaps the way you was sprung through at a very young age, but there must have been so many good times when you were representing Ireland as well. I hear some of the stories of some of the boys like the McCormacks and the likes of that, the ones I know well over in England, and mate, the stories they tell you of representing your country, going away, doing what you love, being with your friends, like even the smile you got thinking about it, mate, they must have just been the best time.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of stories that I would not ever say to anybody.
That's another thing that I was thinking in my head. Yeah, you probably can't say too much.
Yeah, I mean, I've been away to Russia 7 times on training camps, with a lot of the Team GB guys, Scottish, English, Welsh guys, sharing rooms with Cubans, you know what I mean, and sparring Shakur Stevenson in hallways, while we've had a few drinks, things like that. And this was the time maybe Shakur Stevenson had a cast in his hand. He just slips the cast off and puts on a glove and starts sparring. Shakur Stevenson was injured at that time, but they brought Shakur Stevenson with them for that tournament. For the fact is, he was so good they can't miss out, and him coming here for the experience and just watching maybe it's competition, and when the competition's coming up, it was absolutely crazy. Sharing the ring with some massive fighters, going away to Australia. I've been to Australia twice. America countless times. Samoa for the Commonwealth Youth Games. That was absolutely fantastic because beforehand we had a training camp in Canberra in Australia with the Australian team. I just had countless memories as an amateur, and I don't think I would have got that in any other sport. Being able to travel and see many things. I remember maybe in 2014. I think it was 2014. Yeah, we were out in Russia, and I think it was a few weeks before Russia had invaded Ukraine or invaded Crimea. And I remember seeing loads of military tanks about, and something's definitely happened. And where we were was right on the strait in the Crimea. The only way you could get into Crimea from Russia. And I got home and I told everybody something's definitely happened in Russia. They're getting ready for something. A few weeks later, they've invaded Crimea. Things like that. Seeing things like that as an amateur, it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's mad. And it's probably true what you say about there not being many, if any, other sports where you would kind of get them experiences, especially the places as well, like Samoa, places like that. You said that was for the Youth Commonwealth Games. You've got a Youth Commonwealth Silver and a European Bronze, as well as 7 national titles. And I can imagine on the way, I know you speak about like Spar and Shakur Stevenson and being around these names, you would have picked up some good scalps as an amateur and perhaps guys who've gone on to do things that we're very aware of in the pro scene. Just tell us about them medals and perhaps anyone who was picked up along the way that you shared the ring with and managed to beat as well.
Yeah, well, look, probably one of the most notable ones, and he's doing fantastic as a professional now, is Dalton Smith. I beat him in the Commonwealth Youth Games semi-final. Now, that was a big matchup for me, It's funny that I'm living in England now, but the coach turned around and says, if you get beat by England, you're not coming back to the camp. You're staying here in Samoa.
You really don't like us, do you, at heart?
No, but it was the fact is we were Northern Ireland as well, representing the Commonwealth. So he just told us, like, we can't get beat by England. Obviously there's a big rivalry between Northern Ireland and England. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. You need to have that rivalry in the game. So I think maybe I was up for the fight more than him, but it was a fantastic fight, close enough, and it was crazy. I thought that was my gold medal bout. In the semi-final, I thought, all right, bang, I have this thing. I have the gold medal in the bag now. I go on and get beat by Papua New Guinea in the final, and the fact is, because I maybe just thought that was my gold medal bout, maybe did I relax a little bit and think, I'm gonna walk this final. They're seeing a Papua New Guinea guy. The fact is, maybe Dalton underestimated me, and then maybe I underestimated Papua New Guinea. It goes in circles. At the end of the day, you need to be switched on at that high level. It's unfortunate that I got beaten in a split decision. I did think I won the fight pretty handily. I remember in the first round, he came out swinging, and I was like, Jesus, he's putting a lot of pressure on me here. But I was catching him on the back foot. And I remember the referee couldn't get away from me quick enough because I was so sharp in the back foot, moving side to side. And I put my foot, and I stepped back, and my foot landed on the referee's foot, and I slipped. So I got back up again and looked at the referee, and the referee was giving me a count. I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And then he winked at me, and I was like, "What?" So that kind of threw me off in the first round in terms of what the fuck's going on here. Sorry for cursing, but what the hell's going on here? So anyway, I ended up getting beaten in a split decision. It's one of them experiences where you need to grow from it. You had the world at your feet and you let it go. So I'll never let that mistake happen to me again.
Yeah, mate, some mad stories. And from looking at the fact you got a Commonwealth Youth Silver and the European Bronze I mentioned, and that it was obvious that with that success you were going to turn pro, and it was obviously what you wanted. You're 6-0 now. I know there's kind of a lot that goes in between, but what was kind of the click your fingers moment where you went, yeah, I want to turn pro, I want to get paid for this, this is what I'm going to do? Or was it kind of, I've had enough of the amateur scene, or was it, I'm ready. I'm ready for this now.
Definitely both. I mean,
A lot of people say to me they kind of do just hit a point where they're a little bit sick of the amateur scene.
unless you're getting backed, by funds and things like, and you're getting picked for a lot of things, and you're doing a lot of ass licking, as you would say, within the boards. Like you're not gonna, it's not gonna improve your boxing. You're not gonna get anywhere. So why not turn pro and rise up the ranks and fighting bigger shows than the amateurs? I know the Olympics is one of the biggest. For us, the Olympics is fighting on a Eddie Hearn show, or a Top Rank show, or the Zone or Boxer show. It's them big shows with all your family and all your fans watching the fight. That's the professional Olympics, and we get to do that 4 or 5 times a year if we make it, or if we get signed by a big promoter. It's crazy. Like, that's what we want. And what I think maybe the point where I thought I was going to turn pro was after when I came out of the Mcgregor camp. After being around them for so long, being around that massive spectacle and the money that can be evolved around that thing, and I'm just thinking, I'm as talented, I can have this, why not me? So that's when it kind of switched. I'm gonna turn pro. I want this for my life.
Let's talk a little bit about that McGregor camp, because obviously we see McGregor from the outside and the persona and everything that goes with it, and the money, the flashiness, and some people like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, you've got someone who's come from so little and made so much of himself. So I'm not surprised that was kind of a big factor for yourself. I'd love to know what it's like being around him just as a person, because like I said, I know we see the on-camera stuff, but just kind of him behind closed doors and training away and stuff. You must have some great memories from the camp as well.
Yeah, I mean, from the very start of I was with him for a few weeks in Dublin, sparring him for kind of trial camp, just to see what I'm like, because he's not going to bring me straight to Vegas from crap. So we go for a trial camp there, and I remember I arrived up and he was like 2 hours late for sparring, and he rocks up in his BMW i8 with a Flurry shirt on, and it was freezing outside, his sunglasses on, a pair of white pants, something out of Miami Vice. But he was a G, and
there ain't many people who can do that, and no one's gonna say a word, are they? Imagine if Ben or Tommy rocked up to the gym wearing one.
I'd say Scott might get away with it, but maybe not Tommy or Ben. But he just rocks up, and he doesn't say hello to anybody. He just makes eye contact with me straight away. He knows who I am. I didn't think he knew who I am, but he knew who I am. Just walks straight across the ring, and he's just making eye contact with me the entire time, walking over. And he just walks right up to me, puts his head in my face and shakes my hand. He goes, "You ready to do some rounds, kid?" And he just whips off his glasses and stares at me. And then just turns around and walks upstairs and goes to get ready. So I'm thinking, this fella's 2 hours late. I don't care though, because I'm going to get to spar him, you know what I mean? So, but we got in there and done fantastic rounds. And I think I impressed him. I think I done 9 rounds the first day, and we done... He asked me back again, that was a Wednesday, he asked me back again the Friday for more rounds, and he was very impressed with me. And the second day he came up to me and goes, "You're coming to Vegas with me, kid." So I was like, unbelievable, I'm going to Vegas for his camp. And then we ended up, I didn't hear from him for I think we didn't hear from him for about 4 weeks. They had went off on this mad tour, remember the international tour with Mayweather. And I was like, alright, maybe I'm not going on the camp, maybe they've got somebody else there. Because there was 3 other sparring partners. I think there was a guy called Lewis Adolphe from London. He was an ex-boxer. The Deshaun Johnson. He was formerly in the UFC. But he had also had something like 40 something fights. Fantastic fighter, but just took every fight that he could get. Hadn't the most prettiest record, you know what I mean? He had a lot of losses, but he fought Sergey Derevchenko in the headliner in the Barclays Center for the middleweight world title eliminator. Things like that. He was a tough guy, and these are the guys that he had in the camp, and he chose me and Deshaun. But obviously, he had Artem Lobov and Franz Malambo there as well as kind of inner camp that he's always had, that travelled over with him. But yeah, so I didn't hear from him for a few weeks, and I remember, I think it was middle of summer, and I think I was out watching a football match, and my local team was playing. We were watching the TV. We were just playing pool, and just having a few drinks with my mates on a Sunday or something like that, and I got a phone call from his manager, and I was like, "Can you get on a flight tonight to Vegas?" I'm thinking, not only am I half cut steaming, you know, I need to get my stuff ready. You know, I need to get cash sorted, I need to get dollars, stuff like that. You know, I need to get all my stuff. I goes, maybe tomorrow morning, you know, and then I can just go straight home now, get sorted, and head over there in the morning. So then that's what I did. Headed over there, got into the house, chilled. Paulie Malignaggi came into the camp, everything like that. It was a massive, massive camp, you know, and something that I'm really grateful to be a part of, but I'm ready to, you know, I'm ready to I'm ready to give that opportunity to somebody else to be a part of my camp for something as big as that. You know what I mean? You know, to reach that pinnacle in your career is absolutely amazing. You know, and fair fucks them. You know, I mean, he gave it his all. You know, against one of the best. I think he's the best in the modern era. I followed him growing up. The reason why I was brought in by Connor was because I emulated his style. My shoulder roll, I had pinned down to a T. And my shoulder roll right hand, and I was slippy. I don't know, unorthodox style. It was very hard to pin down. I'll catch you from anywhere. Feet work was fantastic as well. So that's why he brought me into the camp. You know, and that's why I emulated his style. We've done fantastic, and I'm ready really to. He made history, and I'm ready to kick on and make my own history.
Yeah. Man, it must have been brilliant being in Vegas. I know you said about the places, pardon me, you have been. Vegas is obviously the modern home of fighting. Not just that, you mentioned Paulie Malignaggi. Was you in camp for this infamous Paulie Malignaggi Spar?
Yeah, I don't know if I was.
Are you sworn to secrecy?
I'm not sworn to secrecy. I done Paulie's corner.
Really?
For that spar. And like Paulie came into camp out of shape. He knew he was out of shape. He was fully retired. Mom was drinking. We were heading out at night. We were going for a party in the city during camp. Like he wasn't in his right mind to go 12 rounds with Mcgregor. He was training full time athlete, probably even a bigger guy than Paulie. So the fact is that he jumped in there and even done the rounds was absolutely fantastic. But I don't think it done him any good. You know, with what's happened. You know, at the end of the day, if that video ever came out, I don't think Paulie would be shown lightly or shown in a good light. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have shown how good his career would have been and what skills he always had. I have much respect for Paulie Malignaggi. You know, still to this day, even though he called me an amateur bum on one podcast because he came out and says that, you know, Connor did fuck him up. You know, that's the thing. But like I still have much. He's a fantastic pundit, and he says it how it is. You know, and it's just sad that we got caught up in this entire thing and really took away the fact that Paulie really did want to try and help Connor, but I don't think Connor wanted him to help him. Connor wanted to pummel him. You know, and I think maybe if Paulie would have got in a little bit better shape, he could have given Connor a better spar. But I don't think, with how old Paulie is now, like I don't know how old he is, or has he been in the gym. I know my mate Artem beat him on a bare knuckle, and Artem's tough as hell. You know what I mean? Tough as hell. But like a world champion boxer should be, you know, beating a UFC guy in a bare knuckle fight, you know, especially a guy like Paulie Malignaggi, where you're a counter puncher, you box in the back foot, you see a UFC guy's punches coming from a mile away, you should be beating a guy like that, and he didn't. So just begs just the question is, does he have the ability to do it anymore? You know what I mean? I know he's been begging for that fight, but I don't know. It's hard to really know.
Just picking this back up, Tiernan, honestly, a lot more talking points than I imagine there would be. Some really interesting stuff. And kind of all them experiences that have got you to where you are today, a professional 6-0, and you turned over in a point where, because of COVID, the opportunities were so limited unless you were signed and you were on behind closed door shows. You ventured out, seeked your own opportunities, and had your fights abroad. I think you were telling me it was debut in Poland, 2 in Belgium, Spain. So you kind of went out and got those opportunities, and you've had 6 successful fights so far.
Yeah, look, the thing is with COVID, like, I only really got back into boxing during COVID. Like, it was crazy, you know. I didn't like who I was for about 2 years. I'd went off and done me after the Mcgregor camp again. I went off and done my own thing. I wanted to turn pro, and I moved to New York for a bit, and I trained over there, but I couldn't really kick it going. So I was just like, maybe that now is time for a little break, maybe a little downtime, just to get my head right. But it never got my head right. It made my head worse. I think any boxer that gradually moves away from boxing would agree the fact that your mental health declines once you step away from boxing. And I didn't realize that. But I really kind of got back into training after I got back, or after COVID, or during COVID, sorry. I'd already started training before COVID a little bit. I had moved down to Dublin, and I had training down there, and I was up at 16 stone. You know, I was very, very big. You know, I fight at 10 stone 2 now. You know, it's 6 stone difference, you know. But like within a year, you know, I'd went from 16 stone to 10 stone 5 that I had made by the end of the year. And I remember looking back at myself at the end of the year, and I think it was just like a comparison between 2 bodies. And I remember sitting beside my girlfriend, and I wrote out a little paragraph for myself, throw up on my social media, and I nearly burst out in tears, because I was thinking, what an amazing journey that I've overcome, you know, from the lowest to the low to the highest to the high. And then at that, again, in my first year, I was 3-0, 3-0 as a fighter, and I got to really kick on then. What is crazy, like how you could just flip it around again and push on. But no, like I moved over here now. I spent 4 years in Dublin. Moved over here to Brighton there a few weeks ago, and I'm really loving it over here with Ben and Scott. Obviously I need to get settled in. I've got a few promoters on my back that want to sign me. And I think the fact that it's a new challenge for myself, you know, living in a different country, will test me. But at the end of the day, with the experiences that I've had, I know what to look out for, and I know what to expect, and I really think that I can really kick on.
I suppose, from your perspective, you must feel like, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but those 6 fights, you were fighting people that, you know, in your head, your level's above. They're kind of, you're settling into the pro fights, learning different things, being away as well, and kind of different environments, etc. I know you're talking about potentially getting signed. That bit of your career's done. 2023 and beyond will be kind of the real stuff, the meaty stuff. Get the promoter on board, get the backing, and from here and years on is where you're going to start flying and achieving what you want to and what you know you can achieve.
Absolutely, I think 2023 will be the making of me. Hopefully we can get a backing of a promoter, we get that platform on TV, really get myself out there. You know, like I've been fighting on pay-per-view links all over Europe. Now the fact is, like, when I post it up on my pay-per-view social links, you know, I get hundreds of viewers, you know, just on that one pay-per-view link to watch my fight. You know, imagine what it's going to be like whenever I get on a proper platform. I think I can really increase my stock in a very short period of time once I step onto that platform. I have a lot of things to offer. I can knock guys out and I can put on a show. Chatting to Prince Nazim Jr. or Prince Nazim Hamid, sorry, last week at the session after. I was then Friday night before, where I was out for food with Scott and the WBC and Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Prince Nazim. And I remember I walked up with Prince Nazim, and now Prince Nazim is one of my all time favourites. I was born in 1997, and for him 1997 was a fantastic year. And the same year that I was born, my father bought a boxer dog, and he named it Naz. And I told him that, and he was like, "Oh man, no way, can't believe that." And he was just talking away as Naz does, you know, making jokes, and he turned around and he says, "You know, I've never actually, you know, seen anybody that's been able to fill my boots, you know, that was ever better than me." He said, "That's just me being honest. Maybe that's just me being ignorant, but fact is, I've never seen anybody that's been able to fill my boots." But he was telling the table, and I was just kind of standing beside him. So I tapped Naz on the shoulder. I looked at him. He goes, "Naz, you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes?" Looked over at me. He goes, "What? Why?" I go, "So I can fill them." And he just burst out laughing. He goes, "I love you, man. I love you." It was crazy, you know. Man, I was shaking even saying that. You know, he's one of my favorite ever fighters. I love that. Yeah, I absolutely. I loved even spending the whole night with him. It was absolutely fantastic, you know, and just asked him for some tips. For a man like that, even we spoke. You seen Teofimo Lopez talk about how, you know, I want to bring some Prince Nazim Hamid, you know, entertainment into the business. You know, I don't know if anybody could ever do that. I mean, that man was one of his own. Some people can, you know, try to emulate that, but you can't. You can't emulate that. You have to bring it out in yourself. You know, sometimes when the people try to do that, it looks forced. You have to do what's you at the end of the day, and whatever entertainment you must bring, it must be original, and that's what I'm trying to bring.
Talking about promoters, you know what we like on IFL. We kind of like to try and dig things out of people. I know perhaps it's something you don't want to be too vocal about. You will have options. You will have preferences in your mind. In fact, I will ask you: have you got a preference that you're kind of very open to saying this is a promoter or someone I would like to work with, be it now, be it along the line, someone you would be very keen to work with in the sport?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like, all the there's some promotions in the UK are absolutely fantastic. You know, you've got Frank Warren, you've got Eddie Hearn, now you got Ben Shalom coming in, the boxer. Wasserman's there in Channel 5, and you've got Hennessy there as well. You know, the fact is, all of them are great platforms, fantastic platforms, and whoever I may go with will be great, you know, and I will excel that platform. But no, like, I spoke to Eddie last week, you know, regarding the Katie Taylor fight in Croke Park. You know, he says it's very, very close. Also spoke to him about, I want on that show. You know, what can you do for me? And he goes, "Look, everybody wants on that show, blah, 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 blah." I goes, "Look, I'll fight anybody." I says, "Just get me on that show." You know, we called GAA football growing up, and they're kind of like, national final would be in Croke Park. Now, Croke Park's the third biggest stadium in the world, or in Europe. So I says, my dream was always to play football in Gaelic Park and Croke Park, but I never got that chance. So why not box in Croke Park? You know, something like that. But look, if I do sign with somebody else, maybe that won't happen. You know, or even like, if I stay promotionless and wait for that fight, I mightn't even got on that show. So I may as well just kick on, try and sign with somebody that is going to excel on my platform this year, because I want at least 3 fights before even May or June happens. You know, I want to be like camp after camp after camp after camp. I want to be 11-0 by the end of the year, kicking on 10 rounders, getting them titles, you know, pushing for Europeans, you know, maybe even the Lonsdale belt, you know, because I can fight for a Lonsdale belt. I'm from Northern Ireland, well, the north of Ireland, I'm sorry. You know, these are the things that we've all been talking about it. You know, the route that we want to go down. But look, once we get chatting to our promoter, whoever it is, I think then we'll make out a route. But there's many different options we can explore.
Just one final thing. Where does this journey end? I got a feeling I know exactly where you're going to say, with multiple belts around your waist and on your shoulder.
Multiple belts and a fuckload of cash.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.